Hey everybody, Mario here, otherwise known as Y2M on the interwebs. Alright, so I told you a little bit about Green Lantern New Guardians, Justice League Dark, and of course Batman the Dark Knight. Let's start off with The Flash, number 2. I really didn't care for Flashpoint, and I thought that The Flash was, at best, a clueless hero trying to do the right thing in the miniseries, and at worst, a whiny Anakin Skywalker type person who's like, I need to do this, cosmic treadmill, Needless to say, that left a bitter taste in my mouth. Then along comes the new Flash series. I love the direction that Brian Buccellato and Francis Manapul are taking with the Flash. The story is different. It seems like they want to emphasize for each of the main heroes that there are threats out there that will actually give them an actual challenge. In the case of The Flash, it's... spoiler. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to tell you. It's actually a pretty heavy spoiler. But it makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be interesting to see how The Flash deals with this new threat. Speaking of which, The Flash is actually a self-assured, self-confident hero in this one, and not an uncertain, clueless, whiny, whatever the hell he was in the old DC Universe, and Flashpoint specifically. I love the artwork here. The artwork, the paneling, it just shows what you can do in this series. I love the blurs and the motions that they give the Flash to showcase his speed. It just works so well, and his use of his powers, we actually get an idea of what he can do, and we actually find out that he has had an ability that he didn't even realize he could use up until this issue. But it looks like it might come at a price, but we'll see in the next upcoming issues whether or not I'm right. Can I tell you just how much I love how the artwork ties into whatever the story was, whatever stuff was written? It's like, man, it meshes so well, and I just love looking at this. I looked at this several times, just flipping through. I mean, I read it twice, but the last couple of times I was just flipping through, just looking at it, just to enjoy the artwork, just to really appreciate it. This is a really well done comic, and I can't wait to see what issue 3 has for us. I recommend picking this up, and picking up issue 1 if you haven't already. Next up, Superman, number 2. Me reading issue number 2, I'm starting to get an idea of how Superman's going to play out, at least in the initial run. It seems like Superman's going to deal with the monster of the issue type thing that actually will give him a challenge. Now, the first issue monster alien thing was, you know, it was challenging, but there was nothing Superman can just overcome with, like, nothing. Here in this issue, though, it was a rather tricky thing that Superman had to deal with. When Superman's basic senses fail him, that's when you know things will get tricky for him. I love how the alien had the advantage on Superman, and I love what Superman had to do in order to overcome that challenge and beat that alien. I also noticed that each alien that he beat utters a word that is gonna tie into something big. We can all see it coming. I sure wish Action and this would just tie in already, completely. I mean, both are filling in the blanks as to what Superman did in between those two series, but I really want to learn more ASAP. The interaction between Clark and Lois is a little bit weird still. Clearly some bombshells were dropped in the first issue, so don't expect the same type of relationship that you saw with Clark and Lois in the old run. This is a whole new ballgame for the both of them, and it's really uncertain to see where it goes. The artwork is pretty good. Jesus Merino does a good job, although Rags Morales is superior in his take on Superman in Action Comics, but that's just me. Now, I feel like this comic still has yet to prove itself. Like, the issues are solid, and they're good. They're good reads, but they're not making me beg for more like Action Comics has been doing for the last 2 issues. I'm really hoping that it gets to that point with Superman. I mean, past Superman is awesome. We still need to see whether or not present Superman is equally or more so. I'm hoping so, because it is only a natural progression for the character. The one thing I do appreciate is the fact that Superman as a character is, well, he's not the Boy Scout that we all made fun of back in the day, and thank goodness for that. that is probably the best thing about Superman, is the character overhaul for Superman. And for other characters as well. I'm really enjoying these books, but I really want to see what the full potential of Superman unleashed. And I'm talking about the comic, not the character. Not so much anyway. Alright, and finally, my pick of the week. And you won't believe this, or maybe you will. Aquaman, number 2. Well, for those of you who thought that issue 1 was a fluke, and that they weren't going to get lucky, their lightning wasn't going to strike twice, and that maybe the rest of the issues besides number 1 was going to suck, well, joke's on you, because along comes issue 2 to slap you in the face for thinking such stupidities. This enemy, the Trench, it's kind of scary. Kudos to Jeff Johns for coming out with a group of enemies rather than a singular villain that Superman and some others have to deal with in their own respective comics. These guys are menacing as a group, and their leader, you could tell he could probably take on Aquaman on. But speaking of which, Aquaman isn't just going to sit there and twiddle his thumbs or call on seahorses or whatever. That was the old Aquaman. And the new Aquaman, well, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but let's just say he handles his business and he makes sure that we get a giant-sized shrimp on the Barbie, if you know what I'm saying. You will once you read issue 2. We also get to find out a little bit about Mera, Aquaman's wife, I believe, in this run. The power that she has is actually pretty awesome. She's basically a support class to Aquaman's, I don't know, bruiser, tank. Wow, I'm actually bringing a WoW reference into this comic review. Wow, why? And yes, Aquaman's hands are still intact, so no hook hands or javelin hands or whatever hands here. I have to admit, I'm loving this series. I really am. I seriously am blown away still. I mean, I was one of the people that totally ripped Aquaman a new one every chance I could get. I look forward to future issues. I hope Jeff Johns continues to write. And I love even Reese's artwork. I really want to see more of Aquaman. It seems like Jeff Johns is doing for Aquaman what he did back in the day for Green Lantern. I mean, Green Lantern was like a B-rated hero, second string in sales, and now it's something epic. And I really hope they do the same for Aquaman. There's plenty they can do with him, and he really, really needs an overhaul. And he's getting it, and you really should pick this up. This is my pick of the week, hands down. Yeah. Loving it. Alright guys, that does it for now, and that does it for the issue 2. Next week will be November, and next week will also be the start of the issue 3s, the releases. I already have a couple lined up, and check them out once I read them and I review them. Alright folks, if you have anything you want to say, drop a line on the comments or leave a video response. You know I'll read them, and you know I'll try to respond to them. And I just want to ask a question to you guys. Which comics are you reading so far? Specifically from the New 52. Which ones are you enjoying? Which ones have you dropped? I'd love to hear what you think. And I really do. I really, really want some feedback. Alright guys. Live Nerd Core. See you around. Y2M out.